hit record. I will go ahead and share the agenda if I can find it here. There we go. And welcome, Lynn. A premature welcome to Cindy. We will re-welcome her when she actually connects. And I will light my digital chalice here and go ahead and read the board covenant. Oh, that's not it. Where'd it go?
I can't see your chalice.
Here, oh, here, I'll bring it back.
Did I? Oh, yeah, okay. I was
Yeah, my
looking
digital chalice there.
Man, I need to do that too. That'd be good.
It's good for other meetings that I host. That, yeah, I never have a candle or a light around. So, Pathways Board Covenant, recognizing board service as a spiritual practice. We, the members of the Board of Trustees of the Pathways Unitarian Universalist Church, do covenant the following. We will agree on when the meeting is to start and we'll begin at the agreed upon time. We will come to every meeting prepared, having read in advance the meeting materials circulated. We will honor leadership. We will act for the common good and service to the mission. We will respectfully agree to respectfully disagree so that we may make the best decisions. When we come to a decision, we will speak with one voice. We will agree on an ending time and end on time. We will treat each other with dignity. As an individual board member, I covenant that I will take responsibility for myself, practice deep listening, and answer kindly. Get the minutes back up. So the next item is to approve the March minutes. I've read over those and they look just fine. Has everyone else had an opportunity to take a peek at them?
Yes.
Yes.
And I will make a motion that we approve the March board meeting minutes. All in favor, aye. That's all of us.
Your motion.
Yeah, I made a motion. I guess, do I need a second?
Oh, we don't have to second? Okay.
No, I think we do. So, yeah, we do. Yeah, could I have a second then?
I second it.
Thank you, Kimala. And all in favor again. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, good. And that leaves none opposed, so the motion so passes. Next item is to review the upcoming Common Ground services. Next week we have Bob Ray Sanders. On the week after with Vance Goodman. May 2nd, which is Leslie's birthday. Sharon Herrera. May 9th is Marty. 16th is Liz, and the 23rd, Reverend Luna Mancuso. Very good. It's the next item. There's a few website issues. Question if Tim and Terry are now able to update the site, and they are, and they have added a. We had a page that would was supposed to allow for people to make comments or send a message, and it was inoperable. It is now operable, and I actually did have someone reach out, and it comes to admin at Pathways, which I was able to respond to someone's request. I'm just asking for information, so it's good that they were able to add that. There is notes that the covenant needs to be added and the green sanctuary page needs to be removed. I've emailed Tim and Terry making those requests, so that is in progress. Go ahead, Beth. Lily Beth.
I spoke to Terry on Thursday, and she said that she is not going to create any content. She just needs content sent to her in reference to the covenant.
Okay.
And I was looking at our first page, and there's a blank space to the left of the Cub Scouts. And I personally would like to see the Black Lives Matter moved down by the Cub Scouts and our covenant put where the Black Lives Matters is, or put it in the part under the tab about. There's also a tab about who we are.
I think that's good.
Okay, I'll relay that to them.
And they'll need that. They'll need the content and however we want to, put it in there. Because that's one thing Terry made very clear is she's not going to create content. She needs to be given the content, and we need to.
And I gave them the covenant because it's
Okay,
So they're not having to just wing it and make stuff up. But that does take us to the next point of many pages currently in maintenance and updating. That's all very good, but we need to be told what those updates are so I can pass those along to Tim and Terry. So that's no problem. They can do that. They just aren't, as you were saying, gonna do it blindly or arbitrarily.
But maybe we need to send a note out to all group leaders and just say, hey, let's review our website and please send any updates you have to Terry, so people kind of know what the process is.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, Terry and Tim, they're kind of tag teaming website updates.
Okay,
subject line should be website. When they send the information to Terry, subject line should say website.
Good. All right, are there any other comments, concerns on website issues?
I just want to be clear, if somebody's going to send a note out to all group leaders and stakeholders in terms of the website, would you like for me to send, kind of determine, I can send a note out, or I just wanted to make sure we had a process before we leave this? Who's
Sure.
gonna, would you like for me to do that, or?
That would be
somebody else?
fantastic. If you could do that, Nancy, that would be great.
All righty. Thank you.
Okay, on to General Assembly, June 23rd through 27th. Kimla and Mary McMahon with Franklin as an alternate. Thank you for that. And then I sent, I think, everyone on the board that link to get the registration happening. Did y'all get that?
Yeah, I saw that. And I wanted to ask you a question that about the thing you sent me on Intuck, doing, being willing to help with the cost. There was no deadline on it, like when do you have to send it in or anything? Do you have any details on that?
But no more than what I saw in the email. I'm fairly
Just-
certain you
okay.
just ask them and they'll move that
Okay.
money over.
All right. Well, I'll get with Mary then, and we'll each, I think we each have to fill that out, and then we'll get the rest paid and get ourselves registered.
Great. You can just send that to Daniel Polk, the executive director, and he can manage it.
Okay.
Except
So,
for 3 who are actually going, that was just informational, that thing you sent, Alec, with that.
Pardon?
Except for the 3 who are actually participating, that was just informational when it came to the rest of us.
Yeah, I just wanted all the board to see that. So we're all aware that Intuck was again reaching out to sponsor half of the payments for the delegates, and then the actual delegates could click the link to do the actual registration through the UUA.
okay.
All right, are there any, go ahead.
Is Franklin going to be, are we going to be able to have an alternate? I wasn't sure if that process was going to work, or is it just going to be Kimla and Mary?
No, you can. I looked at the registration form, and it does actually have a place to list an alternate delegate. I
Okay.
didn't fill it out, but I looked at it. So they do have a process, which makes sense to me because between registering and the actual conference, life can happen. So it is there. But yeah, I think I emailed y'all all. I've got it set with work where I will be off. I'm definitely off that week. So
Super, thank you, Kamala.
so you may not get any chance to alter to go, Franklin, unless life happens to me. If it does, I hope it's good.
Yeah, win the lottery and move away.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay, and the last item I have on my portion of the agenda is reopening with just a note that the Arts Collaborative is currently meeting following the guidelines, which I think is great. And I still haven't I still personally don't think that we've gotten enough guidance from the CDC, et cetera, to make any further determination when larger groups can gather. So I think we're still just in a holding pattern with that.
Did we notify any of the other groups that use our building about our new, about our guidelines now? Like, did the meditation groups, in case they had 10 people and they wanted to come back, or the Cub Scouts?
Not to my knowledge.
I can request an announcement for the newsletter. It'd probably be a good idea to do that. So actually, I meant to do it last month, and I just didn't get it done. So I will ask for an announcement clarifying what the process is, because what I'm going to ask people to do is to fill out the form and get it to me, so that I'll kind of have ownership of the forms and the copies of their immunization and all that. So I'll do that. I'll put a notice in the newsletter.
Do we
Right,
want
thank you,
to? Do we want to announce it at Common Grounds next week? Actually say something there too, and I'll be happy to do it if y'all want me to.
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay. All right. And do the meditation groups get the announcement, or would we maybe need to send an email to them, or I don't, or any of the other groups that that use our space?
I mean, the meditation group often has more than 10 people. However, a lot of those people would be just zooming in anyway. I'll let Tashi know that we could meet if he wants to, with, as long as the people who show up will be 10 or fewer. And I think that will be, when he comes back, he will be doing a hybrid meditation, because he has lots of people that that dial in. I mean, we have a guy from Taiwan now that comes to our Wednesday night meditation.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm sure it will be a hybrid. So I'll let him know that if he wants to start meeting in person with those of us who might actually show up in person, he can. So, and I will also send a note to Annette about the Monday night group. I'm not sure exactly what they've been doing. I think they just kind of quit, actually.
okay.
But I'll send her a note.
And I'm figuring that all of our activities, when we reopen, will probably may want to include some kind of hybrid thing, so that people who don't live here, who've been attending different groups, can continue to do that. I don't know. We'll probably have, as we get closer, have to talk about what that might mean in terms of equipment, even church, even common ground service, right? Maybe.
I'm sure we'll have to do that. Don't you think so, Alec?
Oh, yeah.
Have
So with the smaller groups, I think the normal thing will be just someone brings a laptop or a mobile device and connects to our Wi-Fi.
Yes, yeah.
And for small stuff, that's plenty. But yeah, for common ground, I fully expect to retain the Zoom hybrid forum for forever and ever. So people that are out of town can still join, people that are in skilled nursing homes and such places, shut-in ministry type things, can still join. So we'll probably need to look into buying another television so that one can go back in its normal place upstairs for overflow / the cool kids that like to be upstairs. It's not necessarily overflow, because a lot of people just choose to go up there.
Yeah.
And then have another one on the platform somewhere mounted that will have the participants joining via Zoom, so you can see who's there. And then they will see what the camera that goes upstairs has always seen, which will be just the stage portion. But at certain points, if we wanted to, we would be able to bring in the audio from the Zoom meeting into the sanctuary and have two-way participation via Zoom. So it's actually going to be really cool moving forward to be able to, have people that aren't able to join in person join rather fully through Zoom. So it's pretty exciting as we get back to normal, that the new normal will actually be expanded and better than it was before all this happened. So
Yeah, I think so too.
unfortunately, 60-inch televisions are just a few $100s now instead of $10,000 like they were 15 years ago.
For my current spirituality group at 4, I'm probably going to keep it on Zoom, because I've got people that don't even go to Pathways that are members of other churches that are attending regularly. I've got people that are in Virginia and all over the place that are in the group but aren't here or wouldn't come. And because of the timing at 4 o'clock, after they've already been to church in the morning or through the groups after Common Ground, it'd be rather unlikely, I think, to come back. But so I may just keep mine Zoom all the way.
That makes a lot of sense. Plus, as things reopen, people will be spending less time online. So it won't be, for people who spend a lot of time online, it won't be as big a burden to do not yet another Zoom meeting, because they'll be doing less, we hope, if that makes sense.
All right. Does anyone else have any comments on reopening issues, Zoom hybrid stuff?
Oh, let me add, I talked to Rebecca, who's with Horizon. She said, just to share what they're doing, that they're talking about reopening next September. But again, completely dependent on what happens over the summer. And they actually have a committee or task force, a COVID task force, and they have a member who's a nurse who is doing contact tracing for the county. So that's how they're going to decide, but with the idea of reopening at the start of the church year. I thought I'd share that with you guys, and it made me think. I have one of my very best friends is involved in the whole COVID support, and I'll talk to her. She's the person I talk to for guidance on this. So I'll start talking to her more about this to use as a guide for us too.
Super. Thank you, Kimala.
Wanted to ask, Nancy, you've already done the Arts Collaborative at Pathways?
Yeah, we've met twice already.
And so what were the protocols and how did it work? I'm just curious.
Okay, yeah, Franklin actually put together a protocol based on what Horizon was doing. So there's 2 parts. Everyone has to be fully vaccinated, meaning, it's been at least 2 weeks since your last shot. And so we make a photocopy of that. And also there's a form that we ask everyone to fill out. That's an indemnification form that if anyone, comes and then gets COVID, that they won't hold the church liable, basically. So I have all those things on file for everybody. And actually, I guess choir met too. Did we? Yes. So there's just
I was waiting to chime in. Yeah.
Oh, y'all are meeting in person?
Well, we would not have been able to, except that for several months, the only participants have been Nancy and Tracy and I, and we realized we all 3 were vaccinated, and so we could come together under the same protocols And so we've recorded together and met at church once already. So yeah, thank you for that.
You know, great.
So I'll put that in the announcement for the newsletter, kind of what the protocol is, so everyone will know that they have to do that and that they have to get the forms to me, so.
And then
Put on
I'll
file.
make it, and I'll make an announcement at service next week, and we can put the forms in the chat too. I can do that.
Question, clarification. So currently, only people who have been vaccinated fully are able to participate.
Correct.
Okay.
And I would think that that will continue moving forward until the full reopening.
Okay.
But Alec, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Thanks. Keeping in mind, we made sure that we had an option for others, even though no one's attended choir, for example. We made sure that it was available by Zoom for other people as well. So we're trying to keep it inclusive while still expanding the options.
Thank you, Cindy. Also
So-
welcome. You weren't quite fully joined when we welcome visitors, so.
So I was just going to ask if we would resume the hybrid way of, like we've done prior to everybody being vaccinated, to be able to sit outside and do it from there. I know it's a lot of work to bring the screens out, but can we resume that?
I think, yeah, we definitely need to. Unfortunately, I'm spending most of my weekends in Sulphur Springs,
yeah.
so I'm not able to be there. But if someone wants to meet up during the week, the main thing that requires is 3 laptop computers. So for the previous Zoom hybrid outdoor meetings, I happen to have 3 laptop computers. It's not, they don't have to all be there at the site. We just need someone that is the host, that their main responsibilities are letting people into the Zoom meeting. You have to approve, since we don't have a password. You have to have a moderator let them in, and then you need to hit record at the beginning of the service, and then get the file onto the YouTube channel, which is very simple, that I usually handle. Then we need a second computer that is dedicated to the PowerPoint sharing. It can't be trying to do something else, because if you do something else, you lose control of advancing the PowerPoint slides. And then there's a third computer needed that takes in the feed from the video camera and the audio, and then outputs both to the Zoom meeting as well as to the television there live. So that's the main issues with pulling off a hybrid service. Once made, or I guess Leslie comes back weekend after next, so I'll be back in town again. So next weekend I'll still be in Sulphur Springs on Sunday, but the 24th, I think, or the 25th, whatever that next week, I think I'll be back in Bedford.
So perhaps our communion could be a hybrid if the weather permits.
Yes.
Oh, we
That would
could
be nice.
start with that.
So I'm happy to wait till you're back.
So we could aim for May 2nd.
Yeah, I think May would be a great time to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any more comments on any of the reopening protocol? All right, then I will go ahead and hand things off to Stephen. All yours.
You may have to help me, Alec, with some screen sharing.
You got it. What the
Sometimes I can
strategic?
initiate it, but I can't change documents, and then sometimes I can't turn it off. So I'm going to try to put my report up, but we'll see if that works or not.
Okay. Well, I have the strategic plan ready to go if you need that.
Good. Hold that thought. I see them. I'm just trying to figure out which one is which.
Stephen, did you have a governance and development
That's
report.
what I'm
I
attempting
just-
to share, and I believe I've done that. Can you guys see?
Okay,
I'm afraid you grabbed the wrong screen.
Do y'all
Okay.
see a leader in the 2020? Is that what y'all are seeing?
Yeah, no, you've got a web browser shared, Steve.
All right, can you kill that? Because again, when I hit share screen, I get 2 rows of potential documents to share, and I can't tell what they are because they don't have the names on them. And I just went by the look, and I thought that was going to be my. I've got both of my Word documents open on my computer, so one would presume that when you hit share screen, only the things that are open are going to come up. But
You have a web browser open because that's how you got Zoom started, and you somehow clicked on the web browser. So I pulled that down. You can try again.
yeah, let me try again.
All right, baby.
This looks kind of like it. Well, if this doesn't work, I'll just talk through it. Is that it?
That is
That's-
version 5 of
That's
the
it.
strategic
Yeah,
plan.
Cool.
Yeah, that's not the one I want either. So do I have to close that, or can I just try to open another one?
You probably will want to just close it and open the other one. There is a way, but it's more complicated than.
And I'm not sure how to close it. So let me just get my Word document up and talk us through the report. And then this strategic plan is the largest component of the report anyway. So hold on 1 second, turn the light off so I can see my screen. Okay. The first section of my development/governance report is about grants. There's been no further grant activity. I haven't written any further ones. We did get a declination or reject letter from Chalice Lighter's call. We had proposed they fund the person for RE when we resume in-person programming, and they rejected it, and the basis was that we'd already had professional staff in the past, albeit several locations and several years ago. That made us not fundable under their guidelines, which I didn't figure out ahead of time. So if we want money for an RE coordinator or a DRE, we'll need to look somewhere else besides Chalice Lighter. Really the hang up on me trying to get more grants or complete the tasks I promised to complete during this fiscal year are the pending uncertainty around are we going to do the way scaled back remodel or not? And the last 1 or 2 contenders have not submitted any bid that was within budget and the guidelines y'all set a couple of months ago. So pending that, I'm feeling we're about 75% not going to do anything but put the money back in the building fund, and I'll deal with the grants that we took money for that. And that's probably where that is. The last part of my report is about the building fund, and I just kind of summarized that. Haven't done anything with it because we haven't got a revised bid from Patriot Builders. They were waiting for a couple of subs to give him information so that he could do it. The architect hasn't revised the plan, so I couldn't share it with Marty and Ted's guy that did their porch and barn. And the change that may happen to the plans, it would be a change in plan. So we would have to pay extra for him to revise the plans, which is the real hang up of why I wouldn't hadn't sent anything to Ted and Marty, or hadn't asked Gary Oliver, our architect, to revise the plan, and what the revision would be. Instead of concrete pan stairs, it would be wooden stairs. Well, we got to see if Gary Hamilton, who runs Patriot Building, comes in with a bid that's in the ballpark, that's feasible, before any plans are paid for to be changed again. That would affect the permitting process. So again, I'm kind of skeptical that any of this is going to happen, but that's the status of it. The third, any questions about either of those two grants or the building? So I want to devote most of my time to the strategic plan.
Okay, I just had a quick one with the revision of it just being the moving the stairs so we would be able to widen the sanctuary.
Yeah, in the original architectural drawings, he had proposed concrete pan stairs, which is, I believe, the kind we have now. But to enable to make it cheaper, he was suggesting we could switch off of that and do wooden stairs. You know, the risers and the stair steps themselves are wooden, and like a lot like you have in your house probably.
But my question is, do we have a bid just for that portion of it rather than the entire? Because it was quite extensive, I believe, right?
No, that's why I said Gary Hamilton's the only one that's interested in bidding on a scaled down, cheap, just the enlargement of the sanctuary. He's waiting for 2 subs, so he hasn't given me and Alec or the architect a revised bid, and thus I can't tell if it would meet our budget or not. When we get it, we'll know. And then,
and that's my misunderstanding. I did not know that it was in process. So thank you.
Yeah, it's in process at a snail's pace, and I remain dubious that this is going to work. But what happened to Lynn, and you weren't here last month, obviously, but
Right.
we got 2 bids, and they were both for over $250,000, and we have about $55,000 to play with. So not even in the realm of possibility. And that's what led us to thinking, well, could we even make the sanctuary bigger? Could we get that done for what we've got? And, you know, my thinking on that is we've lost some people. It's going to take a while till we rebuild them. We're too big for the space again. So the wisdom of doing that, which doesn't get us the whole thing, I don't know. So it's still hanging by a thread, but I consider it unlikely that we'll end up doing any kind of remodel.
Hey, we did get something in the mail at the church from a contractor, Reliable Commercial Construction. That's not one of the ones we've been talking to, right?
No, it doesn't sound familiar, but I would like to see it.
Okay, I'll
You open it and read it and talk to me about it on the phone offline, not right now.
yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up in case we want to.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They actually sent us something in the mail. Yeah.
They may have got onto us by monitoring planning and zoning or permitting at the city of Hearst or something. Who knows? Anyway.
Okay. All right. I'll get with you this week on it.
Great. Alec, can you screen share the document on the strategic plan, and I'll just make some comments while you get that up.
You betcha.
The strategic plan, here's some big conceptual ideas around strategic planning. You don't want to just do it and have it be pots put on the shelf. You want it to guide everything that happens in the life of the church. Board meetings, programming, staffing, everything should be consistent with and feed into and be driven by the mission, which is at the top of the strategic plan. What we've done is a lot. We listened. We did listening by a church-wide survey, thanks to Kimela's suggestion. We did 11 meetings of the committee. We've done countless conversations online and through email and over the phone to get this product together. It has an expanded mission, a vision statement, which we never had. It's got the DNA, document embedded right in the strategic plan.
Quick question, Stephen.
Can I finish? And then
Yes, okay.
just to the end. And then the next thing is the goals. There are 5 key goals. 1 is internal about program. 2 is external about involvement in the community. 3 is about weaving a web called shared ministry within the church to get more people involved in doing all the work. 4 is about leadership development, and 5 is finance. Under each of those goals, there are objectives. Objectives have to be measurable, assignable, and time limited. So there's columns within the matrix of the document to do that. How do you achieve those objectives? You do action steps towards them. Now, we intentionally did not delve that deep, except in a few cases. We left some action steps open because the action steps need to be defined by the people who are on the committees, task forces, groups who are doing the work of that action step. And since this is going to be a living document, it's not going to be something that gets put on the shelf and we'll only look at it again in 5 more years when a new one needs to happen. Those actions, those action steps, those progress notes of what got done, what's still pending, where are we in the process, that all feeds back through the committees with their board liaisons into this document, which I will help maintain along with the committee or whoever wants to still keep doing that, so that it is a living document that results in not only a strategic plan, but strategic management. So that's an overview. Before we dive into the actual document, I'll take your question a little bit. What was it?
I was curious why the DNA listed in your document doesn't match the DNA that's the original DNA.
I don't know, because Beth found it and it was on the Google Drive, and frankly, I have no idea what the original one looks like. So we can make sure that it is the correct one.
I have a copy that I can send you.
Yeah, send it to
Kuzak.
Beth Kuzak's,
Okay.
especially since my email has been not available to me for 2 weeks.
Well, the DNA has been modified at various points in the past.
Yes,
So
I'm
really,
hoping
Dad, I don't know
we
if
use
yours is
the
the
latest.
original one, or if it's the one, if it's one that we modified. But we've modified it at least once and probably twice since the original.
Yeah, I understand that. I just know that the wording in the document it's very similar to what we have in the document that I have. I'm just concerned about the
Well, just to be clear a little bit, the thing that you're proposing to send to Beth for comparison is, in your mind, the most recent version of the church's DNA document?
to the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Then we'll do that side by side and figure out which is the newer one and go with that.
Okay.
Thanks for noticing. There was some conversation around the mission. We did a survey of churches all over the US and Canada and got about 50 samples of mission and vision statements, which informed our process along with the church-wide survey. The feeling was that the existing mission was a little skimpy, and I know I even said, let's just leave it alone. It'll help make this thing go smoother. But people really wanted to keep the idea of the mission we have been using and add this idea about reaching out into the community and living out our faith actively. So you see one now that's got 2 big thoughts in it. Sort of the original thought plus this extension into the world in which we live thought. So this isn't the time As far as a protocol for what to do with this and a timeline, I want you all to take some time with the document, write your comments, send them to me and Beth and others on the committee as you wish. That's Kimala and Sandy and Jennifer. And we'll incorporate all your comments, feedback. We'll consider it. Get with you if there's any modifications or not going to use it or whatever. And I'd like that to be done in the next couple of weeks so that when we meet again as a board in early May, the second Sunday of May, we're done. Y'all bless it. And then we present it on May 23rd at the congregational meeting to the congregation. So that's sort of how I envision what we're doing. Rather than, in respect for our covenant, I like to take about 10 minutes for my presentation and 5 minutes for discussion. And we can't critique and edit this thing during this meeting. So that's how I'd like to do that. I'm skipping down. We've already decided that we need to verify. Oh, wait, I skipped the vision statement. Vision statement we've never had before. Can somebody who can see well read that out loud, please?
Why don't I do it since I'm on the committee?
Thank you.
We aim to be a thriving voice for Unitarian Universalist values in Northeast Tarrant County with inclusive intergenerational programs.
Idea of a vision statement is it looks to the future. It's not how we do what we are doing or what we've been. It's about what we want to be in the future. So it's aspirational and forward looking. We never really had an articulated vision statement. So that's the one we've proposed. Then moving down to the actual document, I kind of laid out the structure of it. You've got goals, objectives, and sometimes under objectives, you have a few action steps. But the lack of action steps is not a problem because really whatever group is going to perform and make those objectives happen are the ones that need to specify the steps by which that will occur. The first goal is internal. It had to do with our internal programming of all types. And there's various objectives around that, be it common ground, be it RE type groups, whatever. There's a little bit of highlighting under the second objective because that was a suggestion that had come in already. I believe that's why that's highlighted. Kimmel, do you have any info on that from Beth?
No.
The second goal has to do with looking outside our own church walls, being embedded in the community, being active in the community, doing things to advance our mission where we live. And really with this emphasis on racial and social justice, it's really a hot button topic, both in the survey and in UU in general. I'm pleased that we have a goal specific to that sort of orientation. And so there are objectives around that one. Now, the third one is about how do we make sure that everybody plugs in somewhere, somehow. And it took us a while to differentiate between goal 2 and goal 3. Or goal 1 and goal 3, rather. Goal 1 is running the programs we've got. Goal 2 is looking outside. Goal 3 is getting more people involved in all levels, be it leadership and programming, be it RE, be it activities in the community, whatever. I went to a webinar from Southern Region and they used this term shared ministry. Well, shared ministry is what we're trying to talk about. It's that web of inclusion inviting, supporting, promoting, letting people know what's out there and making sure that they feel comfortable in volunteering to be on something. You know, most of us are on like 3 or 4 or 5 things. So if we could get everybody in the church plugged in somewhere, that's what this goal is about. And the last one is you can't do all this stuff. No, I'm sorry. The fourth one is about developing your leaders. There's 2 aspects: the current leadership, be they leaders on the board, LDC, or in the committee structure or the task forces or teams, and developing people in a succession plan or a way to make them function successfully when they do step up and say, yeah, I'd like to be on that. Well, how do you make sure? You need some training programs, some mentor programs, some things that will make sure that they're successful when we do invite them and they say yes and we get them in. We don't want it to not be successful. So that's what this goal is about. And of course, all nonprofits need green energy, which is what I always called the money when I was running.
Oh.
And so the last goal is about financial stability, sustainability, being effective and efficient fiduciaries, being good stewards of what comes in and making sure that we have enough funding to meet our mission. So those are the 5 goal areas, each with objectives, some with action steps under the objectives. So that's a big bite. If you didn't have time to review this ahead of this meeting, which is quite likely, because it kind of went out late, I suggest that we take some time to look at it thoroughly, send in comments to, again, if you would copy all of us, or at least Beth Kuzak, who's helping me manage the information flow. Besides my eyesight issue, which you all are aware of, I've had no computer email for 2 weeks on anything, internet, mail, Outlook, none of it. I'm trying to use Gmail as a workaround right now, but I don't know my way around there. So just copy me, send it to Beth, send it, or copy me and send it to whoever on the committee you want to Kimala, if it's about finance, I don't care. Just so it all gets funneled through me and Beth in the next couple of weeks, so that we can make sure that all of your input has been considered and all of your additions to this have been processed. If you make a suggestion, we'll consider it. I'm not promising everything everybody says is going to land in this document. We will look at it. As I said, this has been a very long, multi-month, 11 meeting, all church survey, analysis of the survey, much discussion already. So it's not too late, and we definitely want your input, but keep all that in mind when you're critiquing it, please.
Just a question, Stephen. Can I ask a question?
Sure, I'm done.
Will there be an opportunity to talk about it, or you just want to get our input and then you'll decide what to do with our input? Are we going to have a chance?
For the latter, because I don't know. What do you?
Well, I would like to talk about changing our mission statement and not just have it me sending in my input to everyone. I'd like for it to be a discussion. I mean, we've had the same mission statement since the beginning, and I can understand why some people want to change it, but it's part of pathways. So to me, that needs to be a discussion, not just me sending in my thoughts and you deciding what to do with it.
Hey,
That's a pretty big part of it, so let's do that.
can I, I kind of had a clarification question that might help with that. Is it my understanding that when this is presented to the congregational meeting, where there, I guess they would be voting on accepting all of it, but that it might be discussing changes. So for example, we'd be saying the committee proposes to change the mission statement. We could put up the old one and put the new one. And so we're telling the congregation, we're proposing this change. We're proposing adding a vision statement, which we've never had before. We're proposing adding in the DNA, and then we're proposing these goals. And then what people are voting on, because it'll come to a vote to adopt the strategic plan, is yes, we agree with changing the mission. We agree with these goals, or there may be some feedback from the congregation at large on the goals. I mean, there might be change that comes out of the congregational meeting on this to the strategic plan.
I would rather not happen. So why don't we vet it to the congregation 2 weeks ahead of the meeting so that they can have a chance to look at it, mull on it, and we can put some information with it when it's sent out, so that by the time we get to this congregational meeting, it's an up or down vote.
But that's right. I know they're not voting on the action steps, but they're voting on, yes, do we want these to be our goals, right? Do we want all these parts of the strategic plan to be our new strategic
This
plan?
isn't, at this point, it is just from the committee, but today, by vetting it with the board and setting up a 2-week window for board input and critique and comment and edits and changes, including a discussion around mission that we may even have to do now, depending on timing. We'll have the board. So it's not going to the congregational meeting from the committee, it's going to the congregational meeting from the board. Because we need to be all on the same page with it before it gets sent out for everybody to see prior to the time they'll be asked to approve this document, this plan.
So they'll either approve it or not approve it at the congregational meeting. And if they don't approve it, what happens?
Then we'll worry about that when that happens.
Okay.
That's like anything else, the budget, whatever, all of the items at the congregational meeting, the new board members, they're all, the things that are on the agenda that require a vote, they get a vote. They go up or down.
Okay. I just wanted to say it out loud to be sure.
Yeah, and I want to talk just for, I'll hold this to short comments. The strategic, mission. I realize that if we change the mission, it is going to jar some of the longstanding members. It is going to require a change to the bylaws. It is going to require a submission to the Secretary of State, where we got our charter to operate as a nonprofit. All that being said, the current mission, frankly, according to the committee's consideration, could apply to any church or any kind of organization. It's not very pathway specific. It doesn't have anything about the community. It is really narrow and too general, in our opinion. So we said, what are some other churches around the country using? And we found some, and we liked the one that we took as a model, and then we hybridized it, edited it, and it's got 2 components to it, as I said. So you may say, we don't care, we like our old one. Tell us. That's what we need to hear.
Well, my initial thought is that everyone, I mean, to me, a spiritual community that changes lives is profound. I see it as a community where I can grow spiritually and where my life can be changed, where those who come into our community, their lives are changed for the better, but also where we can change lives for the better outside of our community. So we change the lives of those around us. It's not just our lives. So to me, that's not a shallow mission statement. And it's something that everyone knows. I mean, if we let go of it as our mission statement, maybe we can still keep it as a church motto or something, because it's been with us from the beginning. I do like the one you all wrote, but I don't think people are going to be able to memorize it and say it back like I mean, everyone knows that Pathways is a spiritual community that changes lives. I mean, those of us who've gone to Pathways a long time, we know that. We can say it back. How long will it take for people to learn this new one? Or will they ever? You know, I do like the one you wrote. I just think we need to keep the old one. Maybe just have a church motto or something, you know, above and beyond our mission statement. That's my initial thought.
Can we move up to the top and put them up so we can see what you're talking about, so we can see what is on? We're right on now on page 4. Could we go back to page 1? So it's there? Yeah, go down one more. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Or I could read it if you like, Lynn.
Oh, I'm reading it, but I'm just, because I don't have the old one next to it, so I'm not quite sure I'm understanding what troubles you here. So
I'm
Well,
thinking
the old one
about, Harriet Reasoners. I'm not so sure that spiritual development is keen, top of mind for a lot of people that go to Pathways. Besides that, the new one's got spiritual development in it. Plus, it has a more articulated outreach component. I would remind you that I said that in the discussion inside our committee, I floated the idea of leaving the mission alone for this very reason. But the will of the group was to come up with this one. So I want the board, Nancy has spoken, I want the rest of you to opine on, do you want us to keep the old mission the way it is and find some other place to stick the proposed mission, or do you like the proposed mission? I like the proposed mission. Nancy likes the old mission. What about the other?
So let me jump in here. One of the things that we, part of the Reconciliation Council, we are trying to create more of a, we had first called it a covenant that we were creating for our members to weigh in the way that we function with each other. We could put that could be part where that other statement is going, where the spirituality can go into it. We could put it there because it's more of our, we haven't decided yet as far as a board and either the Reconciliation Council, where that covenant, how that covenant is gonna, we called it a right relation covenant that we were trying to establish and put in place. I mean, that could be another option of a place where we could put more of a detailed about, if this is too general, we can put something more specific to our Pathways group in that agreement as well, because that's going to be part of the new member ceremonies to go over that reconciliation once we get it finalized.
Hey, Lilybet has her hand up.
I am with Nancy about the mission statement. I find the one that's in the document that Stephen created way too wordy. I like the simplicity of our original mission statement. And quite frankly, I know throughout all of the transitions of Pathways from the cafeteria to Nolan to the reserve to where we are now, I have found myself wanting to say Pathways 2.0 or Pathways 2.3 as we've gone through these processes. But truly, it's the mission statement is more about I mean, if we change the name of Pathways, I mean, changing the mission statement to me would be like changing the name of our church. I find it, and I find that the mission statement that's in this document is extremely too wordy and does not give structure and form. It just too many words. The simplicity of our original statement, I think, stands, and I think that the issue about harried reasoners, I think, is a little bit cliquish, in that the reality is spirituality, either it's such a bizarre perception. Spirituality is, it's not a, there can be, spirit can be like passion. You have a passion. I think it's giving, I don't know, it's just, I'm befuddled.
Well, you could say humanism is a spiritual practice. And harried reasoners, they're humanists, right?
Your spiritual practice is about humans. Yeah, exactly.
Even atheism is a spiritual practice.
Exactly.
But I know I see Lynn has her hand up.
So obviously I was not part of all the discussion, so just know that, and I'm coming from that point. But maybe Nancy can send out the old mission statement so we can compare it. But as a humanist and harried reasoner, spiritual does not bother me. I mean, I'm part of Soul Matters. I've done the Wellspring. So to me, that is still part for somebody who may not believe or is agnostic or is atheist. So I'm certainly comfortable with that. But if we could maybe have both mission statements, we could look at them, see if it's necessary. But I do see during my career that mission statements do change. They go, they move with what's going on, right? So if we're soliciting new people to the church, maybe some of this would appeal to them more than the other, but I don't have the original one in front, so I can't really say that, okay? So please forgive me for that. But I do see sometimes mission statements do need to change to, you know, to appeal to new attendees or new people looking to come to our church because of different age groups, etc. So, but I can't compare because I can't remember what the original one is. So, but I do want to allay fears as far as I'm concerned. Being a harried reasoner, that's what brought me into the church, that the word spiritual doesn't bother me because we are looking for spiritual growth in our own way, whether it be humanism, etc. So I said my piece. Sorry.
Well, the original one is, maybe I don't have the words exactly right, but that Pathways is a spiritual community that changes lives. And
I have the bylaws open. Nancy, I have the bylaws open with the exact wording.
Go ahead.
Okay.
To build a spiritual community that changes lives.
But that is very esoteric in a way. I kind of like the new one because it specifies that we're into justice and service and love. But that's only my opinion. And again, I wasn't part of all the discussion, so I do not mean to, you know.
I could see to build a spiritual community that changes lives and have that be the beginning of it, and then have through acts of compassion, service, and love and justice.
So I'd like to remind you, Sandy Moore is on the committee. She's a long time Pathways person. Beth Cusack was on the committee, and they were very involved with, along with Steve and Jennifer Bosley, who's new, was on there. Then I'm new. She's newer than I am. I wasn't as involved as those three, but I wanted to point out long-term members were part of this on the vision statement. Number two, as a newer member, I will confess, I did not remember ever the mission statement. If it was reviewed in the new meeting, I mean, the newcomers class, I don't remember it. And I don't remember it ever being used in any common ground service or seeing it anywhere around the church. So I just wanted to share that as a newer member, it wasn't there for me. And then three, I would say I actually, as Lynn stated, I like this mission statement. To build a spiritual community that changes lives seemed very vague to me. And I like having something more specific, although you're absolutely right, Nancy. I might never be able to memorize the mission statement, just like the mission statement for Tarrant County Public Health. I don't remember that or think about it ever, but
To get us all of one voice, the things I've heard that we might do with this issue is create something underneath vision called value statements. And the new proposed mission statement might become a value statement and leave the old mission alone. Or do the hybrid thing that Lilibet just suggested, where you basically keep the current mission statement and add the second half of the proposed one to it and make it a little bigger. Those alternatives or others you may think of can be in your submissions within the next week or two. But I think we've taken enough time for my part of the agenda, and I appreciate, Nancy, you're bringing this up, this mission. I anticipated it could be a hot button topic, and if it is for this little group of 6 of us and guests, then it might strike the same chord among the congregation. So we need to get us on the same page. Probably vet this thing out after we do that to the congregation ahead of the 23rd of May. And thank you for your consideration and the further work that I anticipate you're all going to put in on this and sending us your thoughts.
it does make me wonder, perhaps we should let the congregation know we will be discussing this at the next board meeting. And we could have some greater participation in advance of the congregational meeting. Just a thought.
I know the sequence of approvals in my mind was to get the board vetted and approve it and then float it to the congregation. But you're talking about bringing in more voices to the part where the board comes into agreement.
Only if they want to attend. I mean, this is a public meeting, so just letting them know we'll be talking about this. Was a thought to allow people members more opportunities to.
We could word it in such a way possibly where we're going to be talking about it, where the meeting is open, but if you would like to speak to it, we would request that you let us know that you will be commenting. Otherwise, you will be a guest, but not on the agenda. So you're free to be a part of the meeting, but that doesn't mean that you get a half hour of time that you're going to yammer on and go off on tangents. So
the only problem I see with that suggestion is they don't know what they're asking to comment on yet, because we haven't vetted it to them, because we haven't got it to where it's ready to send out to show them. So we could say we're going to discuss the thing with what you just said, Alec, but do we want to? I was thinking that we'd get into agreement as a board before we vetted it to the congregation and do that 2 weeks ahead of the strategic planning meeting. I mean, the congregational meeting.
I agree, because otherwise this will never get done. I can tell you that right now. I think I've been at Pathways long enough that every time we've had this, the board presents it at the meeting and then people can ask questions. But I think the congregation wants to have something concrete from us first. They don't want to come in, okay, do this. They want to see what we have to propose. That's why we're a board, right?
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion. So
Mine too.
I get it. I totally agree after discussion.
no, and nothing against you, Kim. I was just thinking, because it gets to be, it'll go forever. Yeah.
No, I mean it.
Yeah.
I understand. And as you're explaining it, I'm like, yep, you're right.
Well, you did so much work in advance by, querying everybody. And so a lot of people got to put input into it, I think, it sounds like. So kudos to all of you for doing that. I mean, that's you've already put so much work into this. I'm coming right now and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. So I've read through this and I think it's very good. So thank you for all your hard work on this. But Nancy, could you send out the old vision statement so everybody could kind of mission statement, excuse me. And I like the idea of, like Beth proffered, maybe we make this a subset of the mission statement instead, but it would be good to see both of them and kind of, does that make sense? Or am I the only
Yeah.
one? If I'm the only one, never mind.
No, I'll do that. And I will say that I didn't mean to say that I was opposed to the new one. I was just wanting to clarify what my concerns were and what the change means to us.
Sure.
That's all.
Absolutely,
I really like the new one.
Franklin's comment about the Reconciliation Council or whatever it's called now, that makes me think that if we inserted a value statements section between mission, vision, and DNA, whichever version we end up with, we could put a statement around that, which is sort of covenantal. We could put our little covenant that we do in Common Ground. We could put whichever one of these mission statements doesn't make the top of the page in as a value statement, and everybody would get their way. Something to think about.
I'm glad we're having this discussion because, like I've only been at Pathways since 2018, so I haven't been here that long. So it's being here and hearing this conversation, it really makes me think about the role that we're playing as we shape this community and the importance of it. So I'm glad that we're talking about this.
Absolutely.
I know it's daunting sometimes to think about it.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, whoa.
Definitely. I know, because Nancy and I have been through this a lot. And you probably more than me, because I started 2008. So, yeah. But I'm impressed by all the work you guys have put into this. So thank you.
I have to say, I'm also the mission statement, I haven't really paid attention to that. I think it's isn't it part of one of the things that we do, part of the opening video? Isn't that statement in there somewhere? Or something like that. It's not. I thought there was something about a spiritual community or something.
So.
But anyway, that what really binds me to Pathways is our covenant, because that's the one we repeat. That's the one I know, and that's the one that really connects me. But I like the mission statement. But I feel like if we have it and it's important, we should promote it. We should make it a part of our service.
Yeah.
We have bumper stickers that say the original mission statement on it. We still have some.
Whenever we finalize one, yeah, that'll be good. Yeah.
I think we must have used it far more in the early days because Beth and I know it by heart, So I think in those early days we used it a lot and repeated it. So it's kind of in our consciousness, and probably a Lynn too. But I guess we haven't really used it so much in recent years.
Because y'all were building the community in the beginning. There wasn't one, right? And it was being built. And while there's always going to be change, now it's more maintaining.
We're still building.
Yeah, that's true.
We're still growing, but there's a base. There's already something here, like all of these years of history and practice. That's all I'll throw out. Are y'all ready to move on to my report?
I have to look for an extension cord. My battery's almost dying, so I apologize if I fall off the face of the earth and I come back. So sorry.
I like this going to look for one too.
It won't be thrilling.
Oh, I like this back.
Then I'll stay on, and if I disappear, it's because my computer died. So I apologize in advance, Kimberly.
Okay, so Steve has to unshare, or whose screen? Are we still looking at your screen,
Alec
Steve?
needs to unshare.
Yeah.
And I will start to share. So somebody's sharing. Okay. Now, let's see. All right. I said I'm going to start with, all right. Share. Okay. So this isn't final. This is our budget versus what we spent versus what we budgeted for the month of March. I want you to know I had a good meeting / training with Rebecca yesterday. So I have more understanding and a whole slew of new questions and things I have to talk to Luke, and it may go past Luke to get to my goal of course, me understanding completely what our documents say, and also knowing the history and just knowing everything and making sure everything's included. But so if we look at it here, we've got pledges. Now and what I do is this is out of QuickBooks, and then I look at what we've got in Breeze and look at what came through the bank and try to make them all match. So I don't have them all matched yet. My number for pledge is a little bit higher than what we have here, a little bit closer. It's not 5,500, but 5,100 is what I have. So I have to figure out why we have that difference. Non-pledge is exactly right. And you know what? That non-pledge number, what's in there is actually 3 members who I discovered I can't find a document of pledge for, but those members give money every month as though they had pledged. So one of my goals this year is to make sure, but I'll talk about it in the pledge drive, but I just thought that's interesting. And then the outreach funding, that is correct. That's what we took in March towards our outreach program. Here on contract labor, what I believe that is, Teresa gets paid every 2 weeks. So some months that may mean a 3rd check. So that is 3 paychecks for her. And it's when they go through the bank that they come through. So I believe that's why we have 900 instead of 600 for contract labor. Pulpit supply is self-explanatory. Let's see. Computer support includes, we had to pay for Zoom, our annual Zoom, renew that, which also means we pay something to TechSoup, which gets us a discounted version, and then we paid something directly to Zoom. So that's that amount. Maintenance was our air conditioners had maintenance done earlier in the year, and that's paying for it. The rent and lease, that we pay $360 every month on the new air conditioner. We have 2 HVAC units that are relatively new. That needs to be moved down into the HVAC upgrade. I've got to work with Rebecca on why that's getting rolled into rent and lease. And there's our utilities, not too bad. Although that's what we're paying, water, gas, and electric, with us not being in the building. So overall, we spent $1,400 more than we took in, which is about what we're expecting, right now with COVID. Any questions? Okay. And I know every month I have not had the report for that month. I guarantee that before the end of the fiscal year comes, I will have the finalized reports and give them to Nancy so she can append them to the minutes for each month in the place that we keep those where people can have access. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Okay.
Hey, Kamala, I have a few questions.
Okay.
Did the bank cards ever get, I know the bank messed up 2 or 3 times and we had to keep doing them. Did that ever get settled?
Meaning, does Ella
Cards,
have a bank card?
signature cards, not credit cards, not debit cards, signature cards at the bank.
I don't know. No,
Okay.
I don't know yet.
All right. We had put in to have our PPE loan forgiven. Did we ever hear whether it's forgiven or not?
Luke has all that information. I have requested it from him.
Great.
So
The next one is on the monthly reports that you pledged. Could we please have a balance sheet and a year-to-date?
Oh, you're going to be
Nice
very
to-
happy. Wait, Steve, you're going to
Wait.
be very happy because that's next. I
Okay.
have one.
Excellent. And this P&L that shows last month against the budget for that month is good, but at this late in the year, we really need to see how much have we spent in the first 10 months against budget, not just 1 month, but year to date against.
And I totally get that. You remember at the last meeting?
Yeah.
It was decided that I should avail myself of Rebecca's assistance in further training that is occurring. This month has been mostly, though, my time towards pledge drive. So I know we have to have it before the congregational meeting, so it's coming. That is the best I can do.
Do you know just off the top of your head how we're doing year to date? Actual against budget, bottom line, net?
No surprises.
Okay.
Yeah, it'd be
Okay.
pretty much every month.
Or way over.
Mostly looks like this. You know what? When I talk to you with give you that info on the reliable contractor thing I got in the mail, we can talk more.
Okay. Do that
about
offline.
because
Thank you.
That'll be helpful. Anything else? Any other questions?
It's very insignificant, but what's the $5 bank charge?
Oh, that's what they charge us every month for our account.
Why? If we have money in there all the time. I mean, I'm just asking because I know that usually it's if you go below a certain amount. Do we have a commitment as to what we have to maintain in the bank that they're doing that?
I don't know. And
I'm just curious.
no, I'm glad you asked.
I know it's not much, but it adds up.
Yeah. Okay. And along with signature cards, what definitely hasn't happened yet from the last meeting is we agreed to add Richard Marshall on the finance team to the signature cards, and I needed the minutes for that. So I've got the minutes now, and if I plan to take off work to half a day to get that done. If I can do it this week, maybe, but I have someone whose mother's in the hospital, so I may not be able to take off till next week, till the following week to get it done. Okay, so I've got 3 things written down. 3 questions already from y'all to follow up on. Now, I bet I'm not sharing that. Okay, let me get out of. So do I have to unshare and then pull up a different document to share? Is that how that works? I bet it does.
That's easiest.
Okay, so let me put that down. Share screen. There it is. Okay, so here's our, apparently QuickBooks calls it statement of financial position because we're a nonprofit, but this is the balance sheet. And as of March 31st, that day, the first thing I'm pointing at is that's how much cash we had in the checking account. That's what's in our money market account. Now, there's issues I discovered I have to fix with Rebecca. Then it adds this outreach fund balance, but that is already up in here. So I have to explore how that was being done in the past. So this 117,000 is what we have. And then she says we're missing some things from liability. For example, we don't have our HVAC, which is a liability, to pay off those loans. That's not under here. So there's some things we have to figure out. This opening balance equity, I don't know the history. I don't know if that's the money that we open that money market account or what. So those are some things I have to learn. Do you have any questions? So actually you can see right there, we've taken in $11,000. We're negative on revenue for the year. Or any question? Oh, I'm sorry, Steve, you can't see it. net
Oh,
revenue.
It's up there. I mean, I can't really
Okay.
read it, but I applaud you having, for the first time since I've been coming to board meetings, a, whatever they call it, and I call a balance sheet. So
Yeah, she said that's what it is about. So I've started and Rebecca and I went over it, and there's things that I have to find out how we were doing it, what's the history, so that we can understand this balance sheet better.
another liability is that PPE loan we took from small business. Even though they might forgive it, it probably ought to show in liabilities until they do forgive
Oh,
it.
right. Yeah. So that's all part of how QuickBooks is set up and our part of the accounting QuickBooks. So things have to be done, and I'm hoping to schedule a meeting next Saturday with who I believe are the relevant parties, and to help me be able to explain this better next time.
Good job.
All right, let me wait. All right, I'm gonna unshare that. Stop sharing that. Okay.
Okay.
So that is the balance sheet. Okay, I'm sorry, I still don't have the expense request form ready, but I now am confident I will have that by the next meeting, and I may actually start using it beforehand. That is really coming though. Stewardship drive. So I have that I am totally on top of. I'm very excited. So I have processed 14 pledges, meaning the campaign is created in Breeze, the information is entered, and thank you notes have gone out to 14 members. And I have 4 mailed in and 1 email that I got during the service today. And we, I don't know if it's on. Yeah, I based on what Lily Betts has sent out and some things I've seen emails from her on the membership list. I am hoping to, I know I'm surprising you with this now, I was thinking maybe I could work with you between now and when we have to post the membership list. Also, to help me know which people I'm really going to need to track down and talk to one-on-one. Because like I said, I realized there are 3 people giving regularly who are members who didn't turn in a pledge document last year. So, and would have, it was crazy last spring. And so this year I will absolutely make sure that that everyone who's regularly giving that's a member fills out a pledge document. I don't think they'll have a problem with it. It's just making sure it gets done. Does that make sense? What I'm saying? So I guess that's that the report is 14 fully completed pledge submissions, 4 more in the hopper. I expect to have more after today. As you heard me say, now people can access the forms they need on the website, on the newsletter. They were in the chat, and a few people have downloaded them from the chat. And I emailed out to all, there's a couple of new members. I went into the church and double checked the book, so I'd know for sure the last 5 members. And I think 2 or 3 of them probably didn't get the email. So I'm going to send that out today. And I consider today to be the last formal day of pledge drive where I have people speak. And then I thought the next 2 or 3 Sundays, I will do an update where I let them know here's where we're at. And maybe in the next one or the one after that, do the reminder. I will say, remind everyone if they're a member that one of the requirements of membership is to fill out a pledge or a pledge waiver. That's my plan. Any feedback? Anything you think I'm forgetting? Okay, good. Oops. Oh, I dropped my pen. Okay. And then the proposed budget. So I'm having problems accessing the Google Drive. you sent me those invites, like I got in great, but then when I go back, I can't ever access the actual drive. So I can look where we put minutes, and I wanted to be sure I had the actual official budget that Luke put out, and I couldn't. So I'm gonna find someone to train me face to face between now and next Saturday. And then probably the budget I'm going to propose is going to be very close to what we did for this year. So those of you who know how to access the Google Drive can just go in there and look at last year's and more closely. I know the one thing I want to change is what we're budgeting for speakers, because we're spending more money on pulpit supply than's in the budget, which I don't necessarily have a problem with. I just think it needs to more closely reflect. Any questions there? Or comments, or does that seem
When
acceptable?
you're hunting that drive for it, Luke's one was called proposed budget, because I had to change the header when I sent it off for grants to approved or final or just budget, because his says proposed, and that's what it's going to say when you find it on the Google Drive.
And then we would have,
After the May meeting last year when it was approved, we just didn't change the header on the document.
oh, okay, okay. That was, then I probably did have it, but
Yeah, you probably did.
honestly, I worked all day, most of yesterday, but just couldn't get to everything. So, so that's the end of, oh, and you know what? I put in office computer repair just because I thought maybe because of finances, we just probably ought to float the idea out there. Richard Marshall goes in and he uses the office computer to process all the donations, put in Breeze, doing the different things we need to do to process it, and it's not working at all right now. He's communicating with Alec and Tim Cusack about it, and that Tim thinks that there's a repair that can be done to it, but I just wanted us to talk about it because we may. I'm sure it's pretty old, isn't it? And we may end up deciding or having to replace it.
We have our TechSoup account, so if we have to buy a new laptop or a new PC, we could get one way lower than retail off that.
Oh, see, I don't know too much. I don't know anything about TechSoup.
Fortunately, PCs are pretty cheap now. I think the first step will be replacing the hard drive. And Tim's having Richard do a diagnostics
Yeah.
here this coming week to see if it is indeed the hard drive failing. So I think it would be about $150 to just replace that hard drive.
To make it workable.
Yeah, and get us by for a good while longer. We'll see how that comes along when Richard does that diagnosis.
Which he is planning to do this week.
Yes.
So, okay, that's all I got. Any questions, suggestions? I'm completely open to it. If you comments, anything you want to give me as treasurer. I appreciate your comments and instructions, Steve, and help. I do. I mean that. So, okay, I'm done.
Good, thank you, Kim.
I'll go through mine, try to go through mine quickly. Membership, we have no changes on membership. The Reconciliation Council, we haven't met this month yet. We'll probably try to meet next month and try to work on finalizing our statements. I did send out that form, I think, did I? Yeah, I did send a form out to everyone of what I read. I don't know if they need more clarity on that other than we just try to make the statement and then create a covenant and figure out where we want to put that covenant and how we want to apply it to the congregation. Whether it's add membership when somebody becomes a member, that will be part of the packet. And then the members, the people who are already members, then we'll probably just have to issue it out to them. We talked about having the congregation sign the right relation covenant that we're wanting to make, but that's something that we're still discussing, because I addressed it with a couple people and they weren't sure what they were willing to sign something like that or not. So we're not sure if that's going to be part of the process. But once we meet, we'll talk over that in the Reconciliation Council and then present it back to the board.
Well, I could see having a Sunday service about this covenant,
Oh,
right?
kinda
You know, I mean, that's a thought. To me, that's one way to present it to a lot of people at a time, have the talk be about this issue and this covenant, and you have demos, little skits where people act it out.
I'll talk today about the mission statement. Kind of makes me see how important this is as we go forward. It does feel like we are trying to move forward in a different direction. I guess in the same growth direction, but in a new way, as far as like pathways is concerned. And this covenant, this right relation covenant, it should be part of it. It feels like that will help us as we grow as a community. And the other, let's see, reopening protocol. Oh, we already have the waiver. The waiver forms. Was there any changes we need? I don't think there was any changes. I made the changes to those forms. Is there something else we need to do with that? Oh, your mic is not on, Nancy.
Sorry, I think I just, I copied 1 month to the next.
Oh, okay.
I probably just failed to take that out.
Okay, that's fine then. What's the other one? Facilities issues. The pathways time, no change on that. The awning, I sent a note to the landlord. They're not really giving an explanation as why there's a limit of only $500 on there. I have started reaching out to different companies to see if we can get a lower bid somewhere. Part of it is because of the way that our awning is designed, the way that the awning that's on there, the metal frame of it is designed. I saw the repair guy that came out, I had him take a look at it and he thought that there was another way that we could do it without it getting so expensive. But like I said, I'm hoping that once I get one of the other companies to come out, they can give us a different estimate on how much it would cost. Yes, Lilybeth?
Is it possible that we just do without an awning? I looked at the building and everybody on the same level that we are in, there are hardly any awnings up anymore. And I would suspect that if the entire development had awnings initially, that as they have been destroyed and become unfashionable or whatever, that they've just done without them. I mean, is that possible, an option that we can just let it go? We have an entryway at one of the doors that protects us. So is it really something, just a thought, do we really need an awning?
I think that's a good point. That may be right. They've been hinky about replacing them. And so people probably did say, well, I'm not going to do it.
I mean, I'm fine with that if everyone's okay with not having an awning on there. But it's up to, I guess that's a decision do we want to go ahead and make a decision on that as a board?
It's almost like an auxiliary door. The other door with this little inset is actually the one that most people tend to use, I think. I would agree. If the lease doesn't require us, forget it.
It only
the thing is,
go ahead.
I was just going to say the redesign would make the door on the right be the main opening. And if you were taking down an umbrella in order to go in the door, you might get wet. I mean, to me, that's the only time I can think of that you really need an awning is when it's raining, you want to put your umbrella down and go in the door.
Even after the redesign, I believe that I don't think it takes away either of those two entrances.
Oh, I thought it did.
The enlargement of the sanctuary would.
Well, go ahead, sir.
Okay, never mind.
Okay. I'll keep reaching out to companies, see if we can get a lower bid. I mean, if the landlord's going to submit $500 and if we just need to pitch in more, then we can probably do that as well if we get a good enough bid.
Let's see what that number is. That door is not being eliminated by any means. In the remodel, it would just enter directly into the sanctuary space, which is not usable steering services really. So it would be good to have the awning, but
Okay, I'll keep looking for a lower bid on that. The leak repair. So I met with the roofer who came out on Friday to take a look at it. He wasn't able to locate the leak. He said he was going to be back out this week with his crew to try to figure out if we can find exactly where the leak is. But they're still working on it. It hasn't been repaired yet. I did check the whole building to see if there were any other leaks that showed up. There was one in the hallway. There was a couple of tiles that looked like they had leakage coming from the roof there. So I'll also have him look at that spot as well. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, there's been really quite a bit of damage to the wall where that leak is in the sanctuary. So I think we should maybe start thinking about repainting, and we're probably gonna have to repaint the sanctuary before we're back in there. That might be a summertime project for us for like July or something, but I mean, Lily Beth and I have talked about that some too. I think we probably want to refreshen the whole space before we move back in, tentatively September.
I'll find out.
So,
Go ahead.
I have some environmental experience, and it takes almost no time for black mold to start growing. And if it's been leaking even just a little bit continuously, you're going to want to test extensively, especially with groups of people, some of whom are more or less vulnerable. You want to make sure that you don't have black mold in there before you start painting over and hiding things, and then you've got a reservoir that's going to really cause issues later.
So do we need to search the lease then and see, is the landlord gonna, assuming it's a roof leak, is there something that does anybody know if this is something that the landlord will have to contribute to repairing as well? Or is that something I need to take up with them?
Does the landlord maintain the roof?
I mean, they're responsible for the repair of the roof, yes.
Oh, okay. But they'll.
I'll find out. I'll look over the contract and see if it mentions if there's repairs, if there's damage from roof repair, who's responsible, how much of it is responsible for us and then for the landlord.
If it falls on
Especially
us,
if there's mold, yeah.
and if
there's
when
more
we
than
look
just
at our insurance policy and figure out what the deductible is, because by the time you do these environmental tests, we got a bid for a asbestos abatement test before when we were doing the remodel planning, and that was going to be $1,400 just to have a testing company come in. So if we have to look for mold, if we have to replace wall board, if we have to replace insulation behind the wall board, and then we have to repaint it, we might want to look at what our deductible is on our insurance policy if it falls on us and not the landlord, because we may be getting into where it's worth filing a claim.
Okay, I'm making a note of that.
and I will say that I noticed it's not only the paint that has streaks down it from the ceiling, but it's sort of the paper and the sheetrock is damaged. So I mean, there's wall damage as well as needing to be repainted. So
Who do you bring in to check for black mold?
Well, that company that gave us a price to check for asbestos does that sort of thing, but not for free.
You got any good recommendations, Cindy?
Mine are all industrial, like in the pharmaceutical plant. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'll start doing some research on this and see what we can find out, because it seems like this is turning into a bigger than just repairing the leak in the roof. Okay. Let's see.
You know if Luke ever fixed the sign?
No, he hasn't done that yet. Breeze maintenance and training. So I just sent it while we were in the meeting, an email that has links to where we can find tutorial videos that we can present. One of them is for someone who's new to Breeze, how to actually sign up. And then the rest is for how to use Breeze for different things. So there are quite a few videos on there. So what we can do is we can either make it available to the congregation, just like send it out, or when we sign someone for Breeze, or all the people who are in Breeze right now, we can either email the links to them so that they can go in, or we can actually have a class. We can maybe do a session or a couple sessions if people want to sit and walk through that's just something that we need to decide how much time we want to invest in it and how we want to invest the time in that.
So I think both. And I think have people bring laptops and do an in-person
So do it in person.
at the church, as well as a Zoom training, and sending out that new video. I've had a few people who've told me they got an invite and they never did anything with it, and now it doesn't work or something like that. So we may need to send out new invites to people.
Okay, so so I'm thinking then after we have the congregational meeting in May. So maybe in June after that I think we should have all of Zoom information correct as far as who's member, who's not a member. I'm assuming that we'll have all that information in there correct, and then we can go ahead from there to start working with each person who will have to resend out the invites for people to join Zoom. And at that time, we can go ahead and we can do a group session where we can set up training for each person who wants the training or who needs it.
Yeah, and if we were going to do hybrid services, we could help people bring your laptop if you want. Maybe somebody will help you do something right there. Like help me load a photo into mine. Just
Well, do we get a sense that a lot of the members want to use Breeze?
I think they don't know, because they don't know what it could do. Sorry, Lilybet.
Okay, I just understand. I mean, I've run into 4 people in the last month who some of them had gotten an early email, some had forgotten about it, some couldn't figure out how to do it. And each one of them, I referred them to Richard Marshall, and within 20 minutes, they were all on Breeze.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of knowing who to talk to, who to get just knowing the resources and
well, I'll send out to them, and we sounds like we just need to send out the resources to the whole congregation so that they can. It sounds like instead of just trying to send it out to individuals that are requesting it, we should just send it out to the whole congregation, and that way everyone has the information. And then when someone needs a personal help, then we can go ahead and help them personally. Well,
what about contacting Richard and ask him if he'd be willing to
I did talk to Richard about this. He said he's willing to help, but he didn't want to make a commitment to taking it completely over.
Yeah, I meant as a helper.
And I did ask him about if we did a session of training course, if he'd be willing to volunteer to help in that. And he did say he was open to it, but he wasn't wanting to make any commitments right away to it.
To step back just a moment, just to let you know, I've just sent a couple emails to the landlord and to Franklin. One asking the landlord, where's this $500 number come from on the awnings? Y'all sent us a quote on when you've done replacements in the past and it was higher than that. So please advise. And I copied Franklin on that. And then I reached out. Now, over a year ago, we'd reported a leak, and then the pandemic hit. And so I got a response from Invest saying that they would look into it and get back to us, and I don't believe they ever did. So I just said, hey, this is still an issue. We need to know what's up. And so I did copy Franklin in on that as well. And then finally, Ellen's computer died, so she popped off, but she thanks us all for what we've done. So that's it from me, just some updates there.
As we talk to Breeze, Luke told me he's asked on my behalf. I can't do Breeze. It's blindingly white. They don't have a high contrast view where I can make the background black and the text white like I do in everything else. And the company says they don't have that. So if we interact with that software vendor, please keep pushing them towards accessibility.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And if I can just tag on that, if we've had a leak for a year, we need to proceed assuming we have mold. Just saying.
Oy vey. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Yay.
I think that's all I have. Is there anything I went over the breeze, leaks, repairs?
So we're proposing, you're proposing June to start an active, really an
Training.
active training with the congregation.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
after the congregational meeting, I think it'll be a good idea because we can talk about it there and inform the congregation that we're rolling out Breeze again, and they'll get new links to sign up for Breeze, and then we'll also send out the tutorials with that.
So I'll make a commitment to do the first tutorial before the next board meeting. So I need to get trained too. So if that's the pathway to start, I'll do it.
Oh, did leave out one thing for the new member ceremony. I'm gonna submit the request into the newsletter this week. I'm letting the congregation know that we're gonna have a class to see how many responses I get, and then from there we can schedule when the class will be.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention one thing. I think we need to print off directories. We haven't done that this year, and there are some people who will never do Breeze. And for those people, we just need to print something off. And just let people know that'll never be the most current version. To be most current, you need to log into Breeze and get it. But you know, there are people who've never even done a Zoom service. So those people are not going to go on to Breeze. And we need to do directories again.
So
I don't know.
Oh,
To the building, if we print off directories, like
well, maybe we could
Yeah,
see.
I mean, usually we kind of make them look nice. You know, it's not just like a printout.
it's a little booklet.
It's
Yeah.
directory.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking as we work on the membership list for the congregational meeting, maybe we could double check on contact information, see if there's anything that needs to be updated, and then plan on by the summer have something ready to create a directory with. Maybe we open the new church year with the directory, handing out the directory. Or unless you think that's, probably can't get it together before then,
June.
making it look pretty.
Oh, it's for July, to have it ready for July.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're really gonna open the church July.
Oh, you mean like when we open and, okay. I'm
If
sorry.
we,
I understand what you're saying.
but if we don't open, then we figure out how to get it to people. Speaking of
We
which,
can mail it.
yeah,
We can have people, let people request it, and if they want it, mail it to them, you know.
and do drop-offs if somebody volunteer to drop them off. Speaking of which, if there's anyone you know I need to mail the pledge information to offhand, let me know.
That would be me, please. I can't get it the other ways.
Well, you might even get it delivered in person.
Well, maybe we will get together this week.
This is all that's all I
My
have.
email's a problem, so just
Okay.
it'd be easiest to just get a paper copy.
Absolutely, dude, no problem. That'll happen. hard copy.
You're up, Nancy.
Oh, my turn.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Teresa did not get her numbers to me until the middle of the service this morning. And so I need to have a discussion with her and let her know that when she does that, I don't have time to even look at them before we go into our meeting, much less send them to you guys. So I don't know exactly what she sent and also I had communicated with her and asked her to please have various groups send their numbers to her rather than jumping on to every meeting to get the numbers. And I'm not sure that that has happened. So I will try to communicate with Teresa. I'll look at what she sent me and see if it looks correct. Now, we did also talk last time about having the service leaders send their numbers to Teresa as part of their process. So I'm not sure that that's happened yet either. As opposed to Teresa counting. Because we observed last time that Teresa's numbers didn't appear to be correct for what she had down for every week in February for Common Ground. Just to review what we talked about last time. She had the same number for every week in February, and we were pretty sure that wasn't correct. And we wanted the service leader to report the number each week. So I'm not sure we managed to implement that process just yet. Any comments?
No, we didn't implement that. And I forgot about that. We needed to send an email out to all the service design team to let us know that we needed to do that. I'll make sure we do that this week.
Okay. So, all right. So I guess sometimes it takes a couple of months to implement a new process. And in addition, I'll talk to Teresa in person. I mean, I send her emails and don't get a response, and I try to call her and she doesn't answer. So it's kind of tricky figuring out how to talk to Teresa. So I'm going to talk about a little bit more about this when we have time in the executive session. Okay, the other, let's see, what else is on the agenda for me?
RE area cleanup.
Oh, yes, okay. I think I have that left over from the previous month. Where probably this can now be rolled into the whole church cleanup, which is something we need to talk about. But I guess Lilybeth was working on that, kind of on church cleanup issues. And I guess we have until September or whenever we start back to make that happen. Or if we're going to do a refresh, repaint of the church, the cleanup would probably need to take place before that, some before, some after. I guess we need to kind of start thinking about that and think about what our process is going to be for getting the church ready to reopen.
Yeah, maybe we can draft some more volunteers to work on a committee with Lilybeth on the cleanup.
Well, I need to know what it is that I can go through and sort and clean and stack things all day long, and I'm really good at that. But in terms of what we're going to purge and get rid of, that's going to have to come from the board. I've given the inventory, some inventory lists, some pictures and that sort of stuff, the conversation. And whether or not, even if we don't do the remodeling, there's tremendous things we can do to reorganize the space we have. And I've got some ideas that I'd like to, have that discussion with, but maybe at some other time.
And we still have Community Enrichment Center is willing to send the truck and the driver to take what we want to get rid of, as long as it's on the first floor and by the door. Because they just send one guy with the truck. So like the room dividers that we never use upstairs, or furniture we don't want, or if we clean out that storage room and get rid of some of those music things, I don't know, that's how I call on what to keep or get rid of. But anyway, all of it could be put in the front, and I could schedule the pickup, and we could get rid of a lot of stuff we don't want.
Should we make the next board meeting kind of the deadline for the decision on the remodel? Like if either we have some stuff, some more bids, and if we don't have bids, we just say, I don't know, what do you
Something
think?
fun. All right.
And-
Fine with me. I'll
And then we can start planning for the cleanup.
Right.
And the other thought is, would y'all consider doing the board meeting at the church? The next board meeting? We talked about that.
Is that, are you making a motion, Kimala?
Well, I
Does
just
that need to
bring
be
up,
seconded?
oh, right. Should we make a motion?
Either we make a motion, whether if we don't have a definitive answer on the remodel, that we nix the remodel and work on reorganizing our space by the next board meeting.
What do y'all think about that? Should we make that motion? Set that as
I
our
think
deadline?
Yes.
it would let us move
Yes.
forward.
Okay, all right, so
And help me hold their feet to the fire. If they're gonna do a bid, they better hurry up.
I make a motion that if we do not have a bid for the smaller remodel, if we don't have a bid to review at the next board meeting, then at that time, we will decide that we are not going to proceed with the remodel, and we will move forward.
I'll second that.
And all those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay.
In terms of meeting at the church next Sunday, next board meeting, do we want to have a hand, raise our hands about meeting at the board and
Well,
meeting
we
in
could
person?
Are we all immunized?
I'm fully immunized.
I'm not.
Okay.
I haven't been immunized yet.
I am. So everyone but Franklin is?
Yes.
We can
Still have Zoom running, but the rest of us, we can just plan on meeting in person. I don't think we need to have a motion on that or anything.
and then maybe we could decide after the board meeting, we could make some of these decisions on keeping.
We can take a look at everything
At least,
since
yeah.
a lot of us, it'll be the first time in a while we've been up there.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
I will Zoom you in still, Franklin.
I'm thinking about
Sit outside.
Zooming too because of transportation and all the rest, but I'll think on it.
That's no problem, Stephen.
Okay, and I'll be happy to give you a ride if you want to do it. Like I could be one person that you can call on.
All right, no big deal. So other than,
Is it Lilybet now?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, I did send out some information that I had done on Breeze. Did everybody get that?
Yes.
Anybody have questions about it? I would like to note that I did revisit some of the people that I had put in that file. I noticed members, former members and everything, and I removed them. So the number I got down to currently is 287 of people that I still need to review. And these are people, other people need to take a look at this list of these people. I'm not sure how to do that. I don't know if everybody has access to all the tags or not, if they can look at the tag that I've labeled removed from data. Anybody have any idea about any issues about the criteria of which I used either?
Are you talking about removing them completely from Breeze or just tagging them?
There are people that
former
there are people that we need, there are people who have a name and no contact information, and I've never heard of them.
Yeah, that to me is should be no brainer. Yeah, delete them.
I don't
I
know.
mean-
I mean, we need to keep the current members list accurate in Breeze, but as to other people that are just in there, I don't see any point in removing them when they could show back up at some point. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have them in there. It's not like they go out on
There's no
official.
contact information. There are people who walked through our door and didn't even give us contact information.
But what benefit is there to removing them, even if it's just a name?
Clarification? I don't know. It just seems like clutter to me.
So we need to tag them then. We need to move them to their proper
They should
tag,
be in, yeah,
like a visitor tag that we don't have.
visitor.
What if
Something.
they don't
Yes,
even want
members
their
and
name in
friends.
there? What? What, Steve?
Didn't we have members and friends were the categories?
We have members, friends, visitors.
Friends, yeah, friends have contact information. These are people that, we have people who walk through the door and never come again. And every single person who's walked through that door has been recorded somewhere in the database. Yes,
We
Nancy?
I
get people to put their names in chat, but I'm not sure we tell them they have to give us all their contact info when they visit us during Common Ground, so they could be in there without much data.
Well, I doubt that they've gotten in there recently. I think we have to think about what the source of this data is. It came from a spreadsheet that Ruby maintained for many years. And that spreadsheet was imported into Zoom. So that's where all these people came from. And I think she tended to put in visitors because she was trying to keep track of them. And so she created these categories such as no longer attends and things like that. That was kind of for her information. So I think it would do us some good to look at that and say, okay, what are the categories that Ruby was using that we don't really need? How do we need to have this data categorized? And, where did these people come from? They probably were people that visited. And so Ruby popped them in her spreadsheet. And if they're one-time visitors, maybe we don't need them.
Yeah.
But
I still don't think they should just be
former
deleted. They should be in a category where there might not be any information. They're not on distribution lists, but they're still in there because why would we trash it? Because one time one of them comes back and they're on our Zoom meeting and I pop into Breeze and I'm able to pull up and say, oh, I do recognize this name. And then when I reach out in the chat and go, instead of saying, is this your first time visiting? I say, oh, I saw you. Welcome back. And I don't need to know their address or their email. I just would like to have their name. If it's ever been put in Breeze or anything,
Okay.
it still stays there. And then we categorize them in a who knows, but we have their name.
Finding another, I guess, categorization. I guess the categorization of no longer attends is probably just not an appropriate categorization. I'm not sure how that came about.
From
Just
Ruby,
in
and from Ruby's spreadsheet.
Well, let me ask you.
Yeah,
So-
we need to redefine those categories.
So we sounds like we want categories of visitor, friend, and member.
which I think we already have. And my point is,
And then you
to
could have a-
maintain our, Steve,
Inactive.
we need to maintain our member categories accurately, of course. And there are some other ones, but the ones
Right.
that don't matter, they still matter. They just need to be categorized in a place of, this is data we're probably not ever going to use, but it's not like we have a limit on how many people we can have put into Breeze. I think we should retain them. We just need to have them categorized in a way that we know we'll probably never use or see this name again, but we still have it.
Then do we want a category for former members, people who are definitely?
There is a category for former members. There's a
Yeah.
category that says past members. And
Yeah.
I did some of that tagging when I recognized a member that was, Nancy, you remember the Bledsoes and Nancy Bliss and Merle Gunter, things like this. Some are past members and some could be archived.
And is Bree set up so that not everybody can see the people tagged as visitor or past members? Because I don't think past members would want their information. there.
So we would have to
For everybody
move.
to see, or all of these visitors that have been put in there.
I think it would just be a matter of, so that general, when someone goes into, I don't know if when you go into the directory, I guess it's what access we have to what we can see in the directory. Because right now when I go in there, I'm able to see everyone that's listed in the directory, basically. You type in their name or scroll down the list and see everyone.
The directory, what's listed as the directory?
For Breeze, whether it's recognized as a member or a non-member or a visitor, that's all part of Breeze. So when I go in there to look up people, it shows me, I'll see anyone that's in there, no matter how they're tagged. So, I mean, if we want to restrict past members, then yeah, we'd have to probably create a.
Well, there are people who have no tags at all.
They have no tags, but you still see them in the people list, right?
Well, the people who had no tags.
There's a
I was
difference
just
between
gonna say,
tags and categories.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I guess I'm just saying, I think it needs to be set up where not everybody has access to all the people that are entered into the database. I don't think people who come as a visitor meant for their name to be up where anybody who accesses Breeze can see it. And it
I
wasn't
know that
way.
I cannot see. I can't see all those people that Beth can see, that Lilybeth can see. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we've
Like
got
what-
different login.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And was it you, Lilybeth, or it might have been Luke who told me there are a whole lot of people with access to more than just the basic member stuff, and we probably
I don't know who
need
has access to what.
clarify
I
that.
really don't. I don't know who has access to what. I don't know if anybody has a a comprehensive list of who has access to what.
That will be in Breeze as to the
Yeah.
different user categorizations as to what you can access when you log in.
So Breeze
I'm
has
full
that data.
admin, so I can see everything, but yeah, you should be able to go in and see the various logins and what level of access those logins have.
Lilybeth can do that.
I don't know what Lilybeth's access is.
I was
assume it's pretty
given
high.
a login for the newsletter login.
But I don't know. I know I'm full admin, so I can see everything, but I don't utilize it that much because I don't have.
I don't
need
see
for
that's I don't know what the newsletter can access. I don't know what group members can access. I don't know what I think that's part of the problem with the clarification. I think that's the training that we need is what are the levels of access and who has what information is available to the different accesses. I really think this is a longer conversation. Nothing's been deleted and nothing's been removed. So, I've been talking to Luke and Richard both about what I have done thus far. So they're fully aware. And I haven't, it's just.
Is Richard helping maintain the Breeze now?
Okay, so I mean, I can go in Breeze right now and I can go to the setting and go to users and it'll show me all the users and then I can see what their roles are. Yeah. So your access is based on your role. So right now we have group leader, newsletter, member, there's stewardship team, admin. I think that's it. Those are the roles that have been assigned. So each role we can go in and then decide what that role is and then set up the restrictions on what they have access to based on that. So those are the roles that are in there.
Yeah, so your base user will be able to see members, their contact, just like what you would see in the directory and pretty much nothing else. And that is their access. And that will be 99%, well, maybe not that high, the highest percentage of users. And then newsletter will be able to see a little more. And finance stewardship will be a little more. And then the admins, pretty much people that go in there to do, management kind of things, not so much, they'd be a board member probably.
Yeah, it sounds like some management needs to happen, and Lilybeth started it.
Well, I think this is a longer conversation that we need to work on as a board, to figure out how Breeze is being, used and accessed, and group members. We don't have all the groups listed on there. I don't have Breeze needs to be sorted out more. That's all. The only thing that.
Well, we need to really, I don't think there's a full understanding of what each of us expects Breeze to be used for. And to go back, there's the base settings that most of the users will have access to, that will simply be a membership directory. And there will be no further use to Breeze for them other than that. That's the vast majority of people that will be using Breeze. And then there are the people that need to get data out of Breeze, mainly board members, newsletter people, and finance stewardship people.
Can you see my screen? So I just went into roles, and you can see the different roles that are assigned. There's 7 roles that are assigned, and I'm assuming that we can add more if we need to. I don't know how many more we can add, but you can see here, these are the roles. Admin has full access, and it tells you exactly what each role has access to and what they can do. So if you're on the newsletter, you can create and distribute the newsletter.
Group members should be able to work with tags and events.
Yes. So that means you can create a meeting for your group, and then you can go in and do whatever you need to do, check in people through that group. See, limited, can only view people.
But viewing people, what does that mean? Viewing all the people? I mean, we've already said we don't want them to view all people. We only want them to view members and friends.
What would be the difference between limited and member?
So did Luke create these roles, or are these roles how Breeze is set up?
Some of them Luke is able to create, but I'm sure they were just general ones that were originally, when we uploaded, they probably assigned them based on that. I don't know how it was created from the list that Ruby had. So I don't know if we already had them listed as members and it just took everything. So that's something that we need to find out. But when I go in here to view people, so this is what I see for people, everyone, but I have admin access so I can see. I don't know if you just have member access, if you're able to see, but so it says 569 people that it's found in here. So that means I can go in and see all 569, and if somebody has information, then yes, I'll be able to see it. But if we have the ability to restrict like members to what they see, then I mean, it would just be a matter of figuring out how do we restrict, how do we create different categories for individuals if we don't want them to, because I know like Toya, she's just a visitor. She's not really a member. Does it have her as a member?
No, it has her as a friend.
Yeah.
But you can't see that here.
Yeah, it's under status.
Where's status?
Name, gender, status.
Well, where's
Right here.
status?
Right here.
Oh, okay. All right. Name, gender, status. Okay. Friend. Do you think do we need to have a separate board meeting just about Breeze? Do we need to create a work group on Breeze and ask that group to meet with Luke and everyone on that group who hadn't done it already to take the proper training? What do you think we need to do?
The latter. The second thing you said.
Create a work group?
Yes. Not do a whole board meeting on it.
Yeah. Okay. Who on here could be on the work group?
I think it's the membership team, right?
Yeah.
The ones that would be over the membership database, which is now Breeze.
Is that you,
LBB.
Lilybeth?
Sure.
Who's on the membership committee?
I don't know if I am or not. I've helped with some of the membership stuff. I don't know if I'm actually on the membership committee.
Do we actually have a membership committee?
You, Franklin.
I mean, it's just me.
Yeah, and mostly you focus on new members and not the full membership. So
And
that's
Yeah. So Okay, so maybe I'll need to get with you, Lilybeth, because you have all the questions that can help us figure out how we want to present the information and how we want it structured so that it's usable, since you have a kind of a good understanding of what it is that you think would be usable for us to have with Breeze. So we just need to set up a meeting, and then you can sit with me and we can go through, or we can do a Zoom meeting and go through this, and you can look through the admin view and see what options we have, and then see what we can do to set it up in the way that you think is going to be most.
Well, I just see some clarification. I'd like to help, create some clarification. And I'll work with you, Franklin,
Okay.
if that's acceptable.
Did you have a question, Nancy?
I just have one other comment. I really can't remember. I was looking at other churches for some reason. I can't remember what, but I noticed there were churches that had a notice up on their website telling people how to update their own entry in Breeze. I guess lots of new churches are using Breeze. So, I mean, it's like, do you need to have you moved? Here's how you go into Breeze and change your address. And the person who was administering all that was the church administrator. The church administrator was helping people update their Breeze information. So it's just kind of interesting to look around and see what other churches are doing. People should, go ahead.
I was just going to say, could we decide at this meeting, since we're creating the list of members to publish for the congregational meeting, could we make a decision about who we're going to consider as a member for the next congregational meeting? Lilybeth's been kind of working on that list, right?
Well, I was just saying the last membership done was 2019 to 2020, and I don't think anything was done for 2020 to 2021. So basically, we're dealing with people from 2019, and maybe we should just go with that.
Or do we want to delete people we know are gone out of that list? I did for the sending out the pledge form. I used that list and I knocked off a few people that I know are gone. I didn't send it to them, and I'm not going to call them. But I wonder if there's any other people on there that y'all know are gone, so that I don't call them about the pledge this year. Could we, do you think, do we need
I would have to sit with someone to know who is a member and who's not anymore, because
like Lilybeth did come up with that's one of the lists she sent out.
But I didn't decide whether they were members or not. They were just people that I questioned whether they were members.
Right, you sent it. You sent it out. It's
I mean, there's a definition in our bylaws as to who is still a member, right?
Well, I wouldn't want to.
You have.
Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
I just wanted to know if we're going to use that definition or not.
It's in our bylaws? Sorry.
I thought there was.
Well, I remember Lilybeth saying
I think you have
to have done a pledge every year, but I wanted to say I didn't want to do last year, hold that against it, because I realized I don't think we made sure everybody either pledged or did a waiver last year. So, but I mean, we could use the 2019 pledge list, but then also on your list, the list that Lilybeth sent out are some names that I know. I don't know who they are, but they're on there. So maybe we shouldn't pester them with a pledge request. Like the Harpers, I know they're gone now, right?
No,
Are they still want to be involved with us?
I haven't heard them make any requests to be removed from the membership role whatsoever. They're very busy. And I know their mother passed away, and then Quincy's off to college in the middle of COVID. This is exactly why I do not want to remove things.
Okay.
Because we're making these arbitrary decisions. Oh, and if we want to never see the Harpers again, this would be a very good way to ensure that we don't.
No.
But I've got
Well, 2019 pledges. I mean, go with the 2019 pledges. Anybody who made a
We've got
pledge in 2019.
96
go with that.
names. We've got 96 names from 2019, 2020 as official members of
Okay.
Pathways. Loie should be removed from that list if she's
Yeah.
on it because she is
She's-
no longer
she's
with us.
been- I
People
think she's
that
been
are that are deceased perhaps should be removed, but other than that, unless they have submitted, a request to be removed from our roles, I think we should include them as a member. And if they then respond back and say, I don't want to be, considered a member, we did have the Treasures at one point
Yeah,
say, I don't want to be a member anymore. Well, they've started coming back.
yeah.
So I think, they
Keep
should
the door
still be
open.
included because that was a different kind of consideration as to why
Right.
that happened.
Okay, so we'll hold it then. All right, so this year we sent it to everyone who made a pledge in 2019, 2020. So then if there's anybody who's marked as a member who didn't make a pledge in 2019, 2020, are we gonna drop them off? Yes, ma'am.
Had a waiver. Don't drop them. They had a
Well,
waiver.
it means pledge or waiver, yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Well, there was one couple who resigned. When I sent out the note last fall about membership for the congregational meeting we had in the fall, there was one couple that responded and said that they were resigning and, didn't need to.
At the Welches, the Welches.
Yes.
Oh,
well,
yeah, the Welches. So like that very specific case, they have, so
They
they could be
resigned.
taken off.
Yeah.
David and
David and Carrie Welch.
David and Carrie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I maybe didn't send the pledge to them, but okay, I can do that. That'll be,
And even then they get moved to past member, not I think,
Yes.
just deleted
Yes.
from the
Yeah.
data.
Yeah. Past
That's
members,
Brenda.
definitely.
okay, and so I will make attempts to contact everybody on the 2019, 2020 list. And then I'll let you know if anybody asks to be removed. All right. I can do that. That helps.
So update on the ad hoc committee on racism. Very quickly, the road trip has been moved from June to May. We have a group of 3 people going with me. There are 4 of us that are going. And our small group meetings begin on the 24th of this month, and we're making progress. That's about really all I've got to say about the ad hoc committee. If there are any questions.
Was there information sent out about the trip? Because this is a trip to the museum, right?
This is a road trip to the museum in Jackson and in Montgomery, and we're also going to go by the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Well, do you want to make an announcement during Common Grounds?
Well, that we're making the trip? I've only got room for 3 people, and I've got 3 people.
Oh, okay. So all right.
And it's been asked, and maybe we might do a service when we come back, present something to the congregation about our trip and what we learned. So
So are these members of the ad hoc committee going with you?
no. Nancy Miller, Carol Harvey, and Ann Dyson.
So is it an officially sponsored ad hoc committee trip, or is it a group of members are making this fun?
Just a group of members are making this trip. We don't have money to sponsor anything right now.
Okay, so it's all right. Sounds great. So is it time for executive session?
I
All right.
think so.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.